You witness a shift in 2023 when DeMeco Ryans takes charge, sparking an era of dominance fueled entirely by a suffocating defense. In that debut run with Ryans and Stroud, you watch them welcome an 11-win Cleveland squad only to absolutely dismantle them during the wild card round. Heartbreak strikes next as Lamar Jackson and Baltimore's wall prove insurmountable, handing you a brutal 34-10 defeat in the divisional stage. Fast forward a year, and you see Ryan's crew defending home turf against Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert in his sophomore postseason appearance. You can feel the sheer aggression as this defensive unit relentlessly hunts. The front line shatters the quarterback's will, snagging 4 interceptions off Herbert to secure a commanding 32-12 victory, setting the stage for today's story. You watch the divisional round end in controversy as the Texans fall short in a tight 23-24 finish. Kansas City seals your fate in the dying moments, relying on their defense and special teams to deliver 2 sacks and a blocked field goal. It is impossible for you to ignore that questionable roughing the passer penalty on Will Anderson that kept the Chiefs' drive alive. While other flags fly during the match, your mind inevitably circles back to that singular, pivotal moment every time you recall the game. Looking at the metrics across those 2 seasons, you see the defense holding strong, finishing 11th and then 10th in points allowed per game. By 2025, you witness them ascend to a new tier, ranking number 1 while limiting rivals to a measly 16 points on average. You have to admit, this defensive unit operates with terrifying efficiency. After an awful 0-3 start forces a claw back into contention, you see disaster strike as Stroud gets injured, forcing Davis Mills to start 3 matches. You look at his history and see a grim record of 5 wins and 23 losses as a starter. Against all odds, you watch them sweep those games by a single score, most famously stunning Josh Allen and the Bills on Thursday Night Football. Holding a 4-point lead with less than a minute left, you stare in disbelief as Buffalo converts a 4th and 27 using a wild lateral. Suddenly, you realize the clutch Josh Allen has a legitimate shot to steal the victory. The defense holds firm for 3 snaps, forcing a 4th and 6, and you watch the pressure break him until he heaves a desperate pass that gets intercepted for the second time. One detail that likely gets under your skin while watching ensues immediately. You see Allen immediately begging for a penalty flag and throwing a fit when the interception stands without a call. Regardless of the drama, you witness Houston go 3-0 with a backup quarterback under center. This journey leads you straight to Week 14 on Sunday Night Football. Texans versus Chiefs, a clash with heavy playoff implications defined by a single defensive snap. Before diving into the detailed analysis, you should pause for just a brief second. If this coverage keeps you engaged, consider dropping a like and subscribing to support the channel. Your support validates the massive effort poured into these productions, so please share your thoughts in the comments section below. The game begins with a disaster as you see Chiefs tackle Wanya Morris go down with a season-ending knee injury on the very first play. Facing this Texans defensive front becomes your absolute worst nightmare in that moment. You can sense the fear in the offense as Noah Gray drops a crucial 3rd and 4 pass, clearly worried about the incoming hit from the secondary. Andy Reid gets the ball back for a second series with the scoreboard still locked at 0-0. Following a first down, you watch the Texans force another 3rd and 4, leading to a bizarre moment where Mahomes catches his own deflected throw. You realize how dangerous it is to catch that ball instead of batting it down, especially after Aaron Rodgers nearly turned it over, attempting the same move earlier that day. It seems nobody executes that maneuver quite as smoothly as Lamar did during the AFC Championship. C.J. Stroud immediately answers on the next snap, launching a massive 46-yard bomb to Nico Collins. You have to admire Stroud's talent for creating explosive moments with his incredible deep ball accuracy. It certainly helps when you have a weapon like Nico Collins who catches everything. Though the subsequent touchdown you celebrate gets nullified by a penalty. Preparing to go for it on 4th and 1, a false start backs them up, forcing you to settle for a 3-0 lead. On the ensuing drive, you see Mahomes take off for his first scramble, sparking a recurring theme for the afternoon. He keeps running all game, prompting Chris Collinsworth to exclaim in disbelief every time Mahomes escapes the pocket again. While you might appreciate the announcer's hype, Mahomes relying on his legs throughout this match is actually a bad sign. You realize he is running solely because he has absolutely no other options available. Constant pressure and tight coverage leave his receivers blanketed and the run game stagnant, leaving him no choice but to scramble for the sticks. Later in that same possession, you cheer as a massive sack by Tommy Togiai on 2nd down effectively kills their momentum. Once again, you find it frustrating to watch players immediately begging the referees for a bailout flag after a bad play. You understand they are desperate to secure an advantage to help their team win, but you have to respect the players who take hits without begging the refs for a flag on every single drive, proving they are tougher than the ones who constantly complain. Then again, you cannot really argue against the success of a man with 3 Super Bowl rings sitting in his trophy case. Watch Stroud launch a 56-yard bomb downfield, threading the needle through 3 defenders right into the hands of Nico Collins. Moments later, you see Woody Marks punch it in to secure a commanding 10-0 lead for the Texans. Mahomes takes the field and immediately rifles a bullet over the middle, trying to connect with Juju Smith-Schuster to spark the offense. You see the ball tip off Jalen Pitre's hands before he remarkably reacts to snatch it out of the air for the interception. It takes superhuman reflexes to deflect a pass and then catch it yourself. But the Chiefs' defense forces a quick punt to get the ball back. Stroud drops back on 3rd and 6, facing immediate pressure, a nightmare scenario he has dealt with all game long. On 3rd and 5, Mahomes somehow unleashes a miracle throw while Mario Edwards is nearly ripping his helmet off his head. He connects with Smith-Schuster as he collapses to the turf, proving both quarterbacks are making impossible plays tonight. You can feel him fighting for every single inch of turf against this relentless and suffocating Houston defense. Noah Gray drops a pass, hearing the footsteps of 2-0-2-0, and a sack by Denico Autry forces Butker to miss a crucial 43-yard field goal. Straight out of halftime, you watch Mahomes unleash a deep strike to Hollywood Brown for a massive 35-yard gain. That determined drive ends with Kareem Hunt powering through the defensive line on 4th down for the touchdown. Surprisingly, you are witnessing what will become the only successful drive for the Chiefs' offense all night. Stroud clings to a 3-point lead as the defensive slugfest continues, with Kansas City forcing 2 straight incompletions. Houston answers the call immediately, locking down the field to force 2 incompletions of their own to stall the drive. You see Pitre jam Travis Kelce at the line, causing the tight end to instantly turn and beg for a flag with 4 minutes left in the third. On the next possession, Mahomes lofts a towering moonball toward the end zone looking for Thornton. The pass hits him perfectly in stride until Lassiter violently jars it loose to save the touchdown at the very last second. Lassiter makes the hero play of the game, with Pitre lurking in the secondary ready to clean up the mess. Butker ties the game with a 36-yard kick that barely squeaks through the uprights, putting the weight back on Stroud's shoulders. Houston punts again, ending a quarter with 4 drives, 4 punts, and a pathetic -2 yards of total offense. Now you arrive at the play of the night, and quite possibly the most brutal hit of the entire year. It is 1st and 10. Mahomes scrambles left and doubles back right, floating a pass to Rashee Rice just as Pitre absolutely destroys him. You see Rice go completely limp in the air, flailing helplessly from a collision that looks like it knocked him out instantly. Nobody stays conscious after a hit that hard. Easily the strike of the year. And the trash talk starts immediately. Even Mahomes gets into it, while the broadcast cuts to a furious Travis Kelce shouting from the sideline. Despite the jawing, the referees keep the flags tucked away because you know that was a perfectly legal hit. The brilliance of the play is that Mahomes is designed to bait the defense, but Pitre reads his eyes the entire time. It is a creative concept from Kansas City, but the Houston defense simply does not care about your schemes. Moments later, Mahomes tests the deep left sideline to Brown, but Kamari Lassiter snatches it for the huge interception. You might consider it an acceptable result since it essentially functions as a long-arm punt on 3rd down. But seeing the fury in Mahomes' eyes, you realize he is not okay with handing the ball over inside the 20. Stroud recovers from a sack to convert a miracle 3rd and 17 to Higgins, though the drive ultimately stalls out. You have to appreciate them finally grinding out some positive yardage after struggling for so long. The Chiefs gamble on 4th and 1 from their own 31, but Rashee Rice fails to haul in the pass. Derek Stingley provides blanket coverage while Will Anderson bears down on the quarterback from the blind side. Stroud threads the needle to Higgins, setting up a go-ahead touchdown that gives Houston a 17-10 lead. On 3rd and 4, Mahomes is swallowed up by the pressure and cannot find a single open receiver downfield. Rice drops the 4th down pass, and you know the memory of that earlier bone-crushing hit is still haunting him. Houston hands the ball right back after a stagnant second half, and Kelce proceeds to drop an easy pass on 1st down. Mahomes trusts his tight end on the very next play, hitting Kelce directly in the hands along the sideline. The ball tips into the air and is snatched away for the game-sealing interception. You witness back-to-back blunders where Kelce flinches, proving that Pitre collision haunts him, a fear infecting Rice as the Texans lock down a 20-10 triumph. It blows your mind how a solitary Pitre smash forced 3 errors, 1 from Rice, 2 from Kelce, birthing an interception and fueling Kansas City's catastrophic 4th and 1 gamble near their own end zone. You stare at this graphic and realize the statistics are absolutely staggering. You find Houston's unit isolated in the corner, rejecting blitzes and disguises far more than any other squad in the National Football League. They simply stand their ground and dominate, a strategy propelling Houston directly into that crucial seventh postseason berth. You now see Kansas City standing on the precipice, likely watching the postseason from home. This triumph officially extinguishes their AFC West title hopes, shattering a dynasty that reigned for 9 consecutive years. You witness Mahomes endure only the fourth 3-interception meltdown of his life, leaving him dead even with a 2-2 record in such disasters. You have to bet on Houston punching their ticket, though seizing the AFC South crown with 4 matchups left would be sweet. If they secure home field advantage, you know this squad transforms into an entirely different beast within their own stadium. That makes conquering Arrowhead so legendary, especially after you saw them utterly destroy the Browns and Chargers on their own turf. You absolutely dread the thought of facing this Houston juggernaut inside their building during the postseason. You must salute DeMeco Ryans, as securing a postseason victory for the 3rd consecutive year would be a monumental feat. You feel that the crushing weight of Super Bowl expectations has completely vanished from Houston's shoulders. You watch them evolving into a sharper weapon every week, perfectly primed to launch a deep championship assault right now. You hear Will Anderson recall the tears shed after last year's defeat, confirming they marked this battle for vengeance and they absolutely exacted it. Tell me your perspective down below. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I appreciate you tuning in.